Welcome back to the channel, folks, and to another battle report. This one was recorded at our local gaming store in our monthly meetup. That's at Nightly Gaming in Bathgate. We had quite a lot of players arranged for this one, but along came COVID and coughs and colds and things, and people taking no chances. So we didn't have quite so many, but we're glad just to be playing, to be honest. So I'm going to focus on one game and give you a quick look at some of the other games and the other lists. But I'm going to focus on a game with Peter playing against Gareth. Peter's bringing his D-Day American armour, which means a lot of tanks, basically, a lot of Shermans. And Gareth is going to bring something that we've not seen on the channel before, which is Finns, using the new German Bagration Allies, Axis Allies, Bagration, or whatever the hell it's called. But that's Finns, folks, and it's, in essence, it's an infantry force, even though it's got tanks. Or is it? In essence, it's a tank force with some infantry. Don't know, Finns are so indirect. But we'll have a look at the list for the Finns before we get started with the game. And the mission, by the way, in the game is counter-attack. Finns defending. Now, I didn't get a chance to look at or to show you the Finnish list in detail on the table, so I'm going to read from here, folks. Right? Excuse me whilst I look down. So it's a pioneer company, and it's got 3 platoons of infantry. Each one has got a Panzerfaust, but there is also the assault pioneer platoon, which has a couple of flamethrowers as well. And they've all got the close defence card, which means for one turn they can hit with an anti-tank of 3, like satchel charges and such likes. So that's three pioneer platoons plus company HQ. And then 6 armour company, which is 2 T26s, a platoon of 2 KV1s, platoon of 4 T28s, and a platoon of 5 T26s. So a typical mixed bag for the Finns. And then in support, 3 BA10s, 2 Pack 40s, and Stukas, which will be represented on the table by a JU88, but they're Stukas. So very different kind of list compared to what you normally see in our games. Peter's formation is from D-Day American, so all but one of these units is aggressive, confident, trained. Going over the list, we've got company HQ of 2 75mm Shermans, a platoon of 4 75mm Shermans, and then 4 76mm Shermans with 4 105mm Shermans and 3 mortar half-tracks. Then also part of the formation, 5 veteran 76mm Shermans, and then a fairly standard platoon of infantry to support them. So it's a large formation. Peter likes these large Sherman formations as they can cover a lot of ground, as in literally cover a lot of ground, and there's also some half decent armour, remounts and anti-tank with those 76mm Shermans. Let's look at deployment, starting with the Finns. Now you can see the 2 objectives down here, where the reserves will come on in that opposite corner. Yanks deployed in front of them. You can see one platoon with the armour cars has made a spearhead move to get closer to the objective, but they're squashed right along the edge of the table. Another platoon on the objective. The T26s are hiding about around these houses, and the plane is also starting on the table along with the Pack 40s in ambush, and then the heavy tanks and the assault infantry platoon are going to be coming in from reserve in that opposite corner. The American deployment, Peter's got a lot of stuff stuck into this little corner here. You can see a big wedge of Shermans. In the nearest corner there's the 105s ready to unleash a bombardment. The infantry and then the trained 76s, the 75s and the mortars all facing off, ready to go. So Peter's movement is pushing up as quick as he can. You can see the Shermans going around the wide flank, infantry up to support them heading for the buildings, which is a good place for infantry to go to. And then on the other side, the tanks are just swinging around with the Stuarts trying to protect their flank, and everything is basically aiming at that nearest objective, the one where he can concentrate all his force in the quickest possible time. American shooting started with some nasty bully tactics against those poor little T-26s, and the Shermans were able to catch them in the open, so there was no going to ground or concealment to protect these careful but otherwise very vulnerable tanks. So a couple got destroyed and one got bailed. And then coming through the centre here, lots and lots of shots downrange through a narrow gap into the infantry, and also some artillery range down as well, but nothing much in the way of hits there, guys. These people are quite hard to hit when they've gone to ground, and only one base made a successful save. Then in Gareth's starting step, he managed to unpin the infantry and remount the bailed out T-26. No reserves for the Finns, but Gareth has popped his ambush to have a go at those that wall of Shermans ahead of him, and then he's moving his infantry up towards the objective that he's got to get to, and also trying to hide his T-26s behind the smoking wrecks of their unfortunate compatriots. The only shooting for Gareth this turn was the Pack 40s, but they're shooting against the veteran 76 mils, so 6s were needed to hit, so 4 dice, no hits. So Peter's movement, the Stuarts are kind of hiding behind the house whilst heading off to that other objective. The big lump of Shermans in the middle is staying put, and then the flanking forces continuing to move up, keeping shots on the T-76s and trying to occupy those buildings. Peter is starting his shooting by continuing to bully those poor T-26s. He's shooting from the 75s and also from the 76 platoon, which he's going to split his fire between them, the T-26s that is, and try to get fire down onto anti-tank guns or infantry that are protecting that objective. Whilst the exposed T-26s are proving quite easy to hit, the gone to ground infantry and the hard to hit anti-tank guns, because they're at long range and concealed, are not taking any damage. But Peter has lots of artillery to dig out these dug in targets. So first of all, the mortars managed to get a couple of hits on the guns and some on the infantry, and I think there's one fail on the gun team, so Peter has got a chance to kill a gun team quite early, and there's only 2 in this platoon, but he's got to pass his 3 up firepower. Sorry, his 4 up firepower for the mortars. And as we'll see, there we go, sorry Foxy gets a 2. Now the Shermans continue to put fire down into the Pack 40s, but they're making their saves, or Peter's failing his firepowers. And then the infantry are also hit by the 105s, and not the guns, just the infantry, and a couple of them fail the save, but once again, just needing a 3 up, Peter fails his firepowers. And the Stuarts managed to bail out one of the armoured cars because they're a good match-up. They can both hurt each other, but only 1 hit and 1 failed firepower for a bail. All motivations go fine for Gareth. Everything is unpinned. Oh sorry, the armoured car did not remount, but the infantry are all unpinned, and the T-26s are all back in action. And Gareth is getting his reserves, or at least one of them. He's bringing on his KVs, but he's also got his plane, which is coming in to an absolute nest of 50 cal anti-aircraft fire though, so we'll have to see how that goes. The infantry are moved in and around those houses to contest the objective. The
Armour car staying put, the T-26s jumping over the hedge. Over to Gareth shooting. The plane's coming in to bomb a huge lump of Shermans, but that also has the danger of a huge lump of Sherman 50 cals, and the plane got absolutely hammered, or the planes got absolutely hammered, and one of them died on the way in, and that the resulting rolls to hit were not very successful either, so one plane lost for no tanks destroyed. The Pack 40s fired at the veterans again, but needing 6s got no hits. The armour cars didn't manage to do anything against the Stuarts either, but the reserves coming in from the sides here, the 2 KVs, managed to get a couple of hits even though they're slow firing, and they successfully defeated the armour past the firepower, so there is at least 2 dead Stuarts. Over to Peter, and he's still got a strong advance even though a Sherman got stuck on a hedge. A strong advance down this flank, so he's keeping pushing in. So he's got a force on the flank and a force directly in front of that objective. His own flank's a little bit open at the moment, but otherwise he's got numbers still and pushing in. But in terms of trying to kill those anti-tank guns with direct fire, he's not having a lot of luck. They are hard to hit at long range, needing 6s, and they've got that 3-up save. So far they've been taking everything that's coming their way, and they have been surviving the bombardment from the mortars as well. Now infantry can be quite survivable against bombardments too, but Gareth had a terrible turn of luck here. The infantry bit the dust in large numbers. 4 were lost to one bombardment, which is quite something. Even if they've got to reroll saves, you don't expect to lose that many. The 76mm continue to fire at the Pack 40s. Remember, the 76s have got no HE, so they're having as much difficulty shooting the Pack 40s as the Pack 40s seem to be having at shooting them. There's like 6s for the Pack 40s, 7s for the 76s. Now the Stuarts are also having a go at these infantry that are quite exposed. Managed to kill one, but that's also leaving the Stuarts quite exposed. In terms of motivation, everything went fine, everything remounted. Forgot to say, one of those T-26s died to a Sherman 75, but the survivor passed his last stand, and the reserves coming in. So this is the assault Pioneers who are coming in on that flank to try and contest that objective. But they're not having much luck with the follow me's. That seemed to be a bit of a problem for Gareth in this game. I think he maybe passed about 1 follow me, and in the end just switched to blitzes, where I think they've benefited from a better roll. And that T-26, you can see in the end, he's gone after side armour now. This is his time, he believes. So Gareth's shooting. Here comes the last surviving Stuka, and it made it in okay and got lots and lots of hits. So some tense moments for Peter, having all of his tanks all in one place there. He's got lots of saves to make, and as it turned out, there were 2 failed saves that resulted in 1 dead 76 and 1 dead 105. So a better return for the Stukas this time. Now out on that flank, the T-26 missed unfortunately, but the Pack 40s are there to help out. They've now turned their guns to the trained opposition, where they're only going to need 5 at range to hit, and they managed to get 3 hits. So Peter's front armour is going to be 7 at that range against anti-tank 12. He's going to need some good dice rolling. As it is, he manages to pass 1, match 1 and fail 1, and then the resulting firepower's just left 2 bailed out Shermans. Those Stuarts beside the near objective, as I said, they were quite exposed. They got shot at by a Faust, but that missed, and then the KVs came in for some more Stuart bashing and managed to get 2 hits, 2 kills. Peter has an important motivation roll or 2 to do here. His 2 bailed out tanks do not get back in, leaving him with a last stand on that tank there, and he rolls a fail. So that platoon has broken. After a few turns of fruitless shooting at those packs, the veteran 76s are moving forward, failing cross checks where they can, it would seem, but they're heading in there to support this attack going in from the flank. So that's the infantry going in with the other 76s. And then for a bit of shooting, one of the packs finally bit the dust. Lots of main guns, 50 cals and MG shots gone in there, and in the end it was the good old MG Firepower 6 that actually killed it. And then the 105s on infantry again got 3 hits, and 2 infantry ended up dead again, folks, so down to 3. Important last stands for Gareth. The T-26 stayed, but the Pack 40, it ran away despite a reroll from the commander. So the plane is coming again, going into another nest of 50 cals, unfortunately. And then the armour cars have moved out to get flank shots on Shermans. The KVs have moved up to get flank shots, and the T-28s have arrived, and they're looking to hook around the back of the formation and see if they can get some more flank shots themselves, because they've only got 45mm guns, so they're going to have to get around the rear to stand a chance of killing. Oh, and what's this? That wee T-26 that's coming in for the kill. What's it going to do? And it's revenge of the T-26, folks. It's killed a 76mm Sherman. So that'll reduce anti-aircraft fire for the Stuka, but I'm afraid it doesn't make any difference in the end. There's just too many 50 cals with a 20-inch range around there, so that's the last we'll see of the Stukas, but well done T-26. So let's see if the KVs can get in the action, and they get a good number of hits here on the Shermans, and a couple of saves required. Peter passes one and then fails one. So firepower, 1 dead Sherman. And the little armour cars, they get in the act and manage to bail another one of the veteran, you know, the careful 76s. So motivations, Peter 76 gets back in, and he's just going to keep pushing in now. The objective has only got 3 bases of infantry sitting on it, so the 76s are going to move up, try and go over those hedges. The 105s behind them, they're coming up too, and Peter is calculating what he needs to do to be able to get an assault in at the earliest opportunity on that now quite lightly defended objective. Most of the infantry are over by the other objective that he's not yet attacking. Whilst Gareth is rolling his counter-fire, which incidentally is absolutely terrible. I should point out that T-26 survived the incoming fire from those Shermans, so it's still hanging on. But here we go, the assault is going in.
Yeah. No.
Miss.
And then the 5, 6?
6. Dice on that one. There's every chance here he's not going to survive. Yeah.
He's that one.
Just 1 away. And you have to...
Counter-attack.
Yep.
So is this going to be 5 shots?
Are you fearless? No. But I'm within 6 inches of the OC. So counter-attack on a 4 plus? Yeah. But I am veteran, so he stays there, and
You can move up to 4 inches, but it's got to be the shortest distance to contact.
so it's just 2 on him.
Yeah, so it can like...
Thinking about it.
Dead.
Dead.
I think he's probably dead as well, is he?
No,
No.
just the one. You've got to be square on to folk. So you have to motivate.
I've got to motivate, so I've
Where's your OC? Oh, he's back here, so he's not within 6 inches of him.
Yeah.
4, isn't it?
Yep, 4 plus.
Oh, for goodness sake.
So here we get to go there. Here we get to go there.
Yeah.
Here we get to go there. Bang, bang, and I think you can. He was part of the assault, so he can come up, but I don't think he assaulted.
Like he would go through the gap to get to there.
Fair enough.
But I don't think he can make it in.
Get in the back.
Possibly.
Yeah, because he can go up there. So you get 4 on him, 2 on him.
4 then.
One hit.
Yeah, and the 2 on the other one.
4 and a 5.
They're destroyed.
So you can consolidate. Gareth's next turn, he passed a remount on armour cars and the T-26 stays. For movement, Gareth is starting to bring his infantry over to try and support that objective. He's moving his armoured cars and his surviving T-26 into a position where he can shoot up the attacking infantry who are quite exposed. And then the T-28s are moving round the back to see if they can give some support by getting rid of a few of those nasty 105 Shermans. It was time for Peter to fail all his infantry saves. There was about maybe 6 hits on those infantry from the armour cars and the T-26, but 4 failed saves. So that's pretty much gutted them. As far as the rest of the shooting goes, there was nothing effective from the tanks against the Shermans. Peter unpinned his infantry and he's kept them moving forward, brought his tanks up to deal with those armoured cars because of the threat of defensive fire, and is positioning his other Shermans to deal with the T-26. So the valiant T-26 joined the rest of its platoon and bought the farm. The Shermans managed to get the only armour car they could really see. They managed to kill that, but there's also 105 Shermans kicking about. We're going to drop a barrage down into that big juicy target. There's 2 platoons infantry and another armour car, and it resulted in a pin on the back infantry and another dead armour car. Gareth's motivation, that infantry platoon split between the wall and the wood, didn't unpin, unfortunately. The armour car stayed and it then moved off where it could get closer to the objective. The tanks are positioning themselves to keep fire coming into the back and sides of Peter's armour. With the help of a blitz, this infantry platoon here has moved up the road so they can get involved. Gareth's shooting, the KVs did well again and got another 76mm, very careful Sherman on the side. The T-28s didn't get anything on the 105s, and the armoured car managed to thin down the infantry by 1 more. Peter managed to keep everything moving in his turn, so you can see he's setting up an assault here. He's getting his infantry and tanks in position, and then to protect his rear a little, he's going to drop a smoke bombardment behind the 105s coming in from the mortars at the wood on the far side. A combination of fire from the Shermans at the far end and the near side managed to kill the armour car quite easily, but couldn't get anything against the dug-in and gone to ground company command, because they'll be getting hit on 6s at best. The Sherman 105 used their MGs and 50 cals to pin the infantry on the road. Perhaps wary of the wood, perhaps wary of the anti-tank grenade card, Peter has launched his assault first of all with his infantry, but he managed to make it in past the defensive fire, got 3 bases in, managed to kill one of the defenders, and now it's time for motivation for counterattacks. Here it was a bit of a mixed bag for Gareth. The guys in the wood failed, the commander's not close enough for a reroll, but the company commander made it in. So these guys are pulling back away from the wood, and the company commander, as you can see, he's now going in for the assault. So in goes the company command unit. There's only 2 of them left around that objective now. They've got a lot to deal with, but they go in, 1 base each, see what they can do, and they manage to get 2 kills. So it's up to Peter now to motivate to counterattack with 1 guy. The tank itself isn't included because it was not an assaulting platoon. So Peter needs to motivate to counterattack, checking to see if he gets a reroll from the commander, and build up the tension. That rolled off from a 6 to a 2 because of that smoke. Peter's not done yet though, and he launches 1 tank that's in range into assault. No defensive fire here, so it's just roll to hit. He's unsuccessful. Gareth motivates, counterattacks, doesn't manage to hurt the tank, but Peter fails his motivation and has to pull away. Gareth's starting step goes badly. The armour car's just bailed actually, but it doesn't get back in, and the infantry don't unpin. So the company command's holding on. The tanks are helping out though. the KVs managed to kill another Sherman, the command Sherman, from the side, and in the rear the T-28s have killed a 105, so still breaking them down. So Peter has a clear run-in now against the company command unit. He's got infantry and tanks heading in there, and the 105s are staying put so they can turn around and shoot at those annoying T-28s. No casualties are caused on the HQ unit, but one of the T-28 bites the dust.
No defensive fire?
So they're hitting on a 4. And which HQ?
It's probably the same.
Four, yeah.
4.
3 dice, in 4.
There you go, that does it.
That's it.
Jesus.
Let's take a minute to see some of the other games that were played. There was a few call-offs because of potential COVID tests and such likes, but we did have a few other games on the go involving more Americans, some British Cromwells and air landing, and some more Germans. Quite a few Panthers appeared today. But let's start with the Finns. Gareth played another game, and I think this was Breakthrough, and in this game he played with all his infantry on at the start, and a combination of those infantry with all the anti-tank they have, the flamethrowers, the Fausts, the anti-tank grenades, and the reserves coming on and getting around the side of the Shermans who were trying to break through the infantry line. Gareth broke the tank formation and won the game. Now Lawrence played with an SS list that had a couple of Panzer Grenadier dismounted and 3 Pack 40s, 4 88s and 5 Panthers. He played No Retreat and then Bridgehead, so he was sitting behind a solid line of defences, which, you know, in 2 games he played, both attackers just came up against his wall. You can see Lawrence sitting there with his hands in his pockets. That's pretty much how all he had to do to play this game, and everything just broke on that that solid wall of guns protected by infantry. In these 2 particular missions, it was perfect list for that.
So there you go, folks. I hope you enjoyed seeing the Finns in action. See if that tickles your fancy. It's a very, very different kind of nation, really, to play. Thanks for watching, as always. Thanks to the subscribers, and if you'd like to subscribe, please do so to help us bring this kind of content to more people who enjoy the game. And if you hit the bell button, I will definitely see you on the next one.